Commander Trell of the Galactic Hegemony stared at the tactical display with growing unease. The human counteroffensive had begun, and it was nothing like the simulations had predicted. Status report, he demanded, mandibles clicking nervously as he paced the command deck of the flagship Inevitable Victory *. Lieutenant Garn, his intelligence officer, looked up from her station with large, multifaceted eyes filled with concern. Sir, the humans have launched what they're calling a standard bombing run against our forward positions on Nexus IV. Show me, Trell ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, displaying real-time footage from their ground forces. What Trell saw made his exoskeleton tighten with dread. Dozens of primitive-looking aircraft streaked across the sky above their forward operating bases. The craft were not the sleek, energy-shielded vessels that Hegemony employed, but rather angular, metal contraptions that seemed absurdly vulnerable. And yet, they moved with terrifying speed and precision. Those can't possibly penetrate our defensive grids, Trell said, more to reassure himself than as a statement of fact. Sir, Gar responded, they're not attempting to penetrate. There. The view screen erupted in blinding flashes. When the visual feed stabilized, entire sections of the Hegemony's forward bases had simply ceased to exist. Craters dotted the landscape where state-of-the-art military installations had stood moments before. What manner of weapons are these? Trell whispered. Primitives, sir, Garn replied, her voice trembling. Chemical explosives. Thousands of them. Dropped en masse. Chemical? Not plasma? Not antimatter? Trell couldn't comprehend what he was seeing. Their technology is centuries behind ours. How could they possibly? Because they don't need advanced technology, interrupted Major Kiv, the Hegemony's foremost expert on human warfare, who had been observing silently from the corner of the command deck. They've been perfecting the art of destroying their own kind for millennia. Trell turned to Kiv, suddenly realizing why High Command had insisted on assigning this battle-scared veteran to his ship, explained. Kiv stepped forward, his movements stiff from old wounds sustained in conflicts Trell had only read about in classified reports. But humans come from what they themselves classify as a deaf world. Their entire evolutionary history is one long struggle for survival against their planet's harsh conditions and each other. On the screen, a second wave of bombers appeared, flying in tight formation. The Hegemony's defensive batteries opened fire, catching some of the aircraft in bursts of energy that sent them spiraling to the ground in flames. But for every bomber that fell, 5 more pressed forward, undeterred. They call this strategic bombing, Kiv continued. It's a tactic they developed during their global conflicts centuries ago. They don't rely on precision or advanced targeting. They simply saturate an area with explosives until nothing remains. But the waste, Trell protested, the inefficiency, is irrelevant to them. Kiv cut in. They build these aircraft by the thousands. Their industrial capacity is disturbing. They've had centuries to refine these methods. Another flash on the screen as the second wave released its payload. More Hegemony positions disappeared in clouds of dust and debris. Our forces are in full retreat, Garn reported, her professional demeanor cracking. The humans are advancing on multiple fronts. How can we counter this? Trell demanded. We can't, Kiv said simply. Not with our current approach. We designed our defenses to counter energy weapons, guided projectiles, electronic warfare. That humans are using none of these. They're using methods we considered obsolete millennia ago. On the tactical display, red indicators representing Hegemony forces blinked out one by one as the human advance continued relentlessly. Order all remaining forces to fall back to secondary positions, Trell commanded. And get me High Command. They need to see this. While they waited for the quantum communication link to establish, Trell watched the human bombers regroup, their formations shifting with an eerie, practiced precision. What we're witnessing, Kiv said quietly, is just the beginning. This is what humans consider basic strategic bombing. Their historical records speak of firestorms that consumed entire cities, bombs that could level mountains. And they're holding back? Trell asked, horrified. I believe so, Kiv nodded. The reports from our initial invasion force mentioned human officers talking about proportional response and minimal civilian casualties. They're restrained. The quantum link chimed, indicating High Command was ready to receive Trell's report. Before activating it, Trell turned to Kiv one more time. Your recommendation, Major? Kiv's eyes, which had seen too many battlefields across too many worlds, met Trell's unflinchingly. Withdraw. Immediately. Negotiate peace while we still can. Because if they decide to stop showing restraint, if they decide to show us what they're truly capable of, he gestured to the devastation on the view screen. This will seem merciful by comparison. Trell activated the quantum link, his mind made up. He would recommend immediate withdrawal from human space, no matter the political consequences, because for the first time in his long military career, Commander Trell of the Galactic Hegemony knew what it was to face an enemy that had mastered the art of war through millennia of practicing it against themselves. And as he watched the human bombers disappear into the horizon, heading back to their carriers to rearm and return, he understood that this was merely a demonstration, a warning of what would come if the hegemony persisted in its aggression against humanity. For the hegemony, warfare was a science. For humans, it was an art perfected in the crucible of a death world. That made all the difference.